Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel. I am excited to be sharing with you this month's BYOP. We are doing a pick-me-up palette. A palette of shadows that are mood boosting, make you feel good, and right now, since spring here has been taking its sweet time, I could definitely use this. I could use a pick-me-up. Now, if you are new to this series, my friend Cara from Beautyandthefrizz and I started this as a way to use our single shadows more. We really wanted to take some time to do more than just collect, swatch, and stash our single shadows. And this really has been a fun way to use the makeup we have and get really creative and just enjoy our makeup, which is what it's all about, right? And I'm so pleased that we've had some amazing creators join in. This is really like an open collab, so anyone who wants to join in can do it any month. If they don't have time, if it's just not inspiring to them, they can skip out on it. And we always want to encourage all of you as well. Please always feel free to jump in on this too. You know, you don't have to share with us, but if you do want to, a great way to do that is to take a picture, whether it's the swatches or the palette that you created or a look that you created that was inspired by these videos. You can go ahead and tag Cara or myself. I will make sure to have all the details on our Instagram down below and any of the creators that are jumping in this month. All right, whew, that was a lot there. So by the way, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. We're gonna dive right in. I have got a cute little palette to share with you. I do also want to say that I have been working with some of the settings on my camera, just trying to get like the ideal setup here. So things are a bit different than I've been shooting lately. I would love to know if you have been here watching my channel. Let me know what you think of the quality of the video, how everything's looking. Like right now, I feel like the back looks a little bit darker than usual, but I don't really care about that because all the magic is right here. So we'll see what you guys think. So this is my Pick Me Up palette right here. So let me go ahead and turn this baby down right here so you can see the majesty of these shades. Now this color story right here, last year, in fact, it might have been last year at this time, we did a rainy day palette. And I feel like this is a similar vibe. I don't know for sure because I didn't want to go back and check because I didn't want to like sort of influence myself into picking other shadows. Now that I've picked these, I maybe will go back later and watch that video just in case it is something similar. But it kind of makes sense because, you know, on a rainy day, you want to have your mood boosted. You could use a little pick-me-up, right? So we're going to get into these shades. I'm going to swatch these. We will at least do one look. We might do two. We'll see how it goes. So let's go ahead and get into swatches. I can't wait to show you these shades. All right, so this first shade, at least this first color, maybe not the shade itself, but this first color should not be a surprise to anybody. If you are not new to my channel, you will know that I love a good yellow shadow. And this one that I chose is from Dandelions. This is the shade Sunlight. And I am newer to using Dandelion Co. colors. Recently, what was it? Maybe actually was in the Black Friday sale. I decided to go ahead and pick up some of the shades. I did go ahead and choose to just get mattes. And honestly, I've been very pleased with the quality of these shadows. The only downside, as like a bunch of powder just falls into my palette here, the only downside is these shadows are the softest, the most powdery shades that I have ever used. But you know, I do like the color here. All right, I went ahead and zoomed you in so that we could see we could see these up close a little more, although I will show you a nice zoomed up shot once we get all of the shadows on. So I do really like these shades. They are just so messy. They are very powdery, very soft. I don't mind a powdery or soft shadow, but these really make a mess every single time I use them. So I just saw that the company is coming out with new shades and I'm like, do I want to get any of them? Like they're just kind of a mess. So I don't know. I'm undecided yet, but we will see. So this second shade, you probably won't even be able to see here, but this shade is such a lovely one. She's a well-known one. This is Nokomis from Devinah Cosmetics. And this shade is definitely, I always say it's like this plugged in ultraviolet, beautiful, like fluorescent, you know, that iridescent shade. So you can see, I mean, oh, look how pretty she is. It really is. It's just so electric. And this shade, every time I use it, I do usually use it as an inner corner shade, but every single time I use it, I find that it just makes me happy. It just makes me happy, and that's what this palette was all about, right? So, of course, most of my Devinah shadows make me happy, but this one especially. So this next shade is one from Shine by SD, and this is the shade Mountain Magic. Now, this is honestly one that I haven't used a lot, but when I went through and I was swatching, I was like, ooh, this is such a pretty shade. I think I maybe did it, I might have used it when I did my video, when I got this collection in, and I was like, oh, I really like this shade, but I haven't really used these since. And in fact, I went and pulled out my Shine by SD specifically to see if there was anything that I thought would go well for this palette, because I really need to give them some attention. I'm going to do an updated like indie eyeshadow opinions, and because I bought quite a bit in the last year, I really want to be able to use what I bought a little bit more so I can give sort of like a final thought. So you can see here, this one, let's see if we can get her to focus. I mean, this is just such a wonderful shade. It's shifty, but it's also very sparkly. Maybe on the back of my finger, you might be able to catch that. Maybe not, but it is really very lustrous. So it does have a lot of tiny, 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 almost like holographic sparkle to it. And I love the fact that it's this nice warm shade. It's bright. I just think of happiness when I swatch this shade. So this next one is one that I don't know if a lot of people would think of like pick me up when they see this, but this is that for me. This is this total like kind of like grungy, mustardy, dirty camel shade. And this is another one by Dandelions Co. This is the shade Zesty. And these types of shades just make me happy. These like kind of grungy, kind of pukey, like dirty, browny, yellow oranges. I mean, you can see this. Look at that. That's just so pretty. I just think it's so pretty. I always feel bad for the shadow that gets the pinky swatch, you know, because it's like there just isn't as much real estate on my pinky. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one another go here. This one isn't, oh, never mind. Lied. I was about to say this one isn't quite as powdery as like Powder Again Falls. But I mean, that's just such a fun, beautiful shade. And these are the kinds of shades that like, it's sort of like in the pan, but I just love it when I get it on my face. And for me, because I do have a neutral leaning warm skin tone, I think that something like this is just flattering. If you have a cooler skin tone, it might not work as well on you. You might feel a little bit like sickly, but I really love it. So let's get into the rest of these shades. All right, another shade that I'm known for loving is green. And I definitely knew I wanted to put a green in here, but I wanted something kind of like bright and perky and something that I could use in a couple different ways. So this is one from Glam Shop, and this is the shade Electric Mint. I believe I may have put this in another BYOP, perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but I do really enjoy this one. It is this, you know, it's almost like a shimmery, kicked up version of Water Mist from Devinah. It's a like teal mint with a purple shift to it, but this one definitely has, you know, whereas Water Mist, because it is one of the Velvet Multichromes, that is more of like the satin finish, whereas this has a little bit more sparkle to it. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that like velvet shift. It's kind of like blending into my arm there. You can kind of see there. I'll hopefully be able to get it when we do the up close swatches. But this shade I just thought would be really nice because I could use it as a topper shade, I could use it as an inner corner shade, and I always need one or two inner corner options in every palette that I make. And honestly, every palette that I do for this series, I always want it to be something that like, you know what, I would maybe consider buying that. Or like, this is one that could definitely get me through quite a few looks and isn't just like a one-trick pony. And so I definitely wanted a multi-purpose shadow. So this next shade is again, kind of in that green family. Ooh, this is one, I didn't even look at which one this was, but this one I've used a lot. This is Khadra from Devinah Cosmetics. So this is a green, but it's leaning into that teal family, and it also has a bit of, I would say like a grayish murky base to it. Like it's bright, but also kind of like grayed out. I don't know how to explain it. Hopefully it'll show in the swatch here. Now, Devinah shadows are, at least the mattes, are definitely buildable, but also you can blend them out. So again, this is one that I just feel like if I really blurred this out, I could almost make it like softer, not quite pastel, but definitely like softer, or I can make it super saturated. So I think this was a fun one to pop in this palette. Another fun one is another Glam Shop shade, and this is the shade Taffy. And I believe, I'm pretty sure that this is a shade from either the Citronata palette or the Celadon palette, and I'm not quite sure, and I have both of those palettes, but you better believe I decided when I was doing my last Glam Shop order, I was like, yep, I'm gonna get some of these yellow singles because I do really love Glam Shop, and if I ever were to go through a whole yellow in one of my palettes, I would want a backup. This one has a bit of like a green reflect to it. It's almost that like highlighter yellow. hopefully you can see that. It's not coming up quite as like, whoa, as it is like in the true swatch. But that's probably just because the light is turned down just a little bit, just so you can see the shift more. It's very intense. It's so beautiful. I really love this one. Okay, for this next one, I think this was in my last Terra Moons purchase that I made. This is a very well-known one. This is Cosmic Dancer, and I picked out this shade just because it's one of those ones that once it's on the eye, I'm just like, whoa, wow. I don't know that it's necessarily like a unique shift or unique shade, but first of all, the texture of it is beautiful. The impact of it is beautiful. I mean, oh, wow, come on. There we go. Oh, look at that. Now, this is definitely that like green, blue, purple, like a triple. That would be teal and purple. Where do we get B in there? You know what I'm saying. Teal, blue, purple, whatever. I'm trying too hard here to make one word. So this shade is definitely on the creamier side. And it is just that lovely, like multi-chromatic, but very, very smooth shade. This doesn't have a lot of glitter particles. It is just that uber creamy, beautiful, like bright yet a little grungy because it's got that little bit of a base to it. It's just so pretty. Ooh, I like this one. I kind of made a mess, but I do really like it. Okay, now this next shade is one to just really balance out the palette, but it is also something that always like boosts my mood, and that's just something that's really reliable and is going to blend out really nicely. And so I had to pick a Sydney Grace matte because I definitely think that Sydney Grace mattes just have such a wonderful, like I said, reliable formula. You know they're never gonna let you down. This one I've used quite a bit. This is Peach Fuzz, and if you follow me on Instagram, this was one of the shades in my little mini palette that I created and took traveling with me, and it, you know, is really kind of served as a nice transitional palette, like going into spring. And this brown is just a beautiful, like nice mid-tone. I mean, this is one, you know, you could sheer it out a little bit. You could get it pretty dark. It's got some nice depth to it. And I just love this shade. And I think that this is gonna give some nice balance to some of these other shades here. So it was one that I just knew that I needed to have. Okay, so for the last shade, something that always makes me feel super happy is something slightly on the rosy side or the coppery side, and something that just has a lot of shine to it. I just know that I could very easily just take a coppery, rosy, shiny shade, pop it on the lid, throw a little bronzer on, and feel good to go for the day. And so I wanted to pull out one of my favorite shimmery, coppery, rosy shades, and that is Diva from Devinah Cosmetics. So this shade here, if you are doing a Devinah Cosmetics order, you're picking up some of the like shiny, sparkly, shifty, ooh-ah shades, please don't miss out on some of the shimmers because they are very beautiful. And Diva is one that I think just is so, so, so pretty. This shade is, again, it's kind of a mix between like a rosy brown, a copper. It's just delicious. So, and she's getting the like elbow here. Sorry, Diva. So you can see here maybe that rosiness in this shade comes out. It is beautiful. I think that if you have blue eyes, this would really look lovely. I also think it looks great on green eyes. I mean, this is a shade that's gonna work well on anyone, but I do think that like that rosiness just is so flattering. So here is my Pick Me Up palette. It's already getting me happy just having these swatched on my arm. So I'm gonna give you a little zoomed in look and then we'll create, why don't we just go ahead and do 2 looks? I'm having fun. So here's a little low light shot of these shades, hoping that that will help you kind of pick out the shift on some of these. But honestly, I mean, a lot of these aren't like, even the multi-chromes are a little bit softer, but they still, it's almost like they just represent like more shine. I mean, look how shiny these shades are, so pretty. I'm glad I had committed to doing 2 looks because I didn't have the camera on for the first one. Okay, well, this is gonna be a shorter video. That's fine, that's fine. So I'm gonna give you a rundown of this. I'm gonna put on some mascara as we chat though. Dang it. Oh man, okay. Let's see, what mascara? Let's pull out the telescopic lift from L'Oreal. So I wanted to use that, what is this one? what was this one? Mountain Magic shade from Shine by SD. That's what's on the lid. I put that down first because I was like, okay, well, I know that's the one I want to do first. So that's what I should start with. And then I can just see where the look builds from there. Like, do you ever do that where you're like, all right, I'm gonna use the one shade that I know that I want to use, and then we'll see like what else goes with it. Especially since, you know, when I do these videos, I try to use at least most of the shades in the palette. I mean, especially if I'm doing 2 looks, right? But oh gosh, what a bummer. So then I just went through with the yellow matte and the, you know, Dirty Camel matte from Dandelions. Were both of those from Dandelions? Yeah, they were. I really like them both, but man, what a mess. And it's not necessarily like a problem, because if I was going to be working with those shades, I would just go ahead and obviously like do my eyes first and then my face makeup. But today I just wanted to start out with some base makeup on. So, you know, it was a risk that I was willing to take at the time. But yeah, I did get a lot of fallout. Oh, they're just so messy. I mean, it's beautiful. They perform beautifully. Like, look at that. It's gorgeous, but they're just so messy. I'm not sure. Okay, just one really good coat of that. My eye is kind of red. My eyes are getting irritated. It's like we get one day of spring and my allergies hit full force. But anyway, the other shades that are on are that bright yellow from Glam Shop. And then I did take a little bit of that Peach Fuzz shade just to give a little bit of contour to the eye. I wasn't gonna do that, but my eye shape just needed a little bit. And you can't see the majesty of it, but I do have Diva down here on my lower lash line. I mean, again, this is just such a beautiful, like rosy brown, kind of like slightly coppery shade. I love this one so much. If you're doing a Devinah order, if you've been like drawn into some of like the shifty, sparkly things, do me a favor and like throw this one in your cart. I'm sure it's like $6 maybe, and my code, which by the way is not affiliated, but my code would work on these. And my code is Keep Beauty Real, by the way. It's not affiliated, but it will save you 20%. And I think all of the shadows that are in here from Devinah would be applicable, but I do really love this one. I love it so much. Okay, so sorry about that. Let's go ahead and do an eye look together on the other side, shall we? All right, so let's see here. Well, now we're gonna be working with some of the greens. I do really like a good teal and brown look together, so I think that's what we're gonna work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through with Khadra, and I think I'm just gonna get that like all over the eye, and then we're gonna put Cosmic Dancer over the top. Maybe we'll do a little like halo eye moment. I haven't done a halo eye in a long time. Let's go ahead and try that out. So I'm just using the A502 from BK Beauty and going through, like I said, and I'm just going to place this all over and then just kind of like blur it out on the edges, and we'll see where we go after that. So what are the shades, I would love to know in the comments, what are the shades that give you a mood boost? Like when you are needing a little pick-me-up, you know, whether it's you're a little bit tired or it just hasn't been that great of a day or great of a week and you're just looking to get like a little fun perk out of your makeup, what are the shades that you tend to go towards? Do you have any? Or are you like, is there one like just single shade where you're like, okay, you know what? I know this one's gonna make me feel good. This is the one that I'm gonna pull out. I will say Devinah Tukana. Devinah Tukana. If I had to pick one like mood boosting shade, that's probably the one that I would pick, just because I know I'm always gonna like it. It could go with just about everything, and it always makes me happy. But I did just use that in a recent video, and most of you know my love/obsession. If you do want to see it though, if you haven't ever seen that shade, I did a favorite rose gold makeup items, beauty items video, so I'll make sure to have that one linked as well. But Devinah Tukana, baby, that would be my #1 pick-me-up shade. All right, so here, if I wanted like a light, bright spring halo eye, I could go through with that Electric Mint shade from Glam Shop and pop that on the lid. But I want something like a little deeper, a little like sexier. So I'm gonna actually go through with Cosmic Dancer. So I'm gonna pop that on the center. This is definitely a formula that if you are team fingers, you're probably going to enjoy this more than if you are team brush, because it doesn't like to pick up on a brush because it's that sort of like squishy yet flaky formula that really could benefit from the warmth of a finger. I was just making sure I didn't have like bright yellow on my finger or something. So the only problem is like, you know, I keep my nails pretty long, and so they just start to make a mess if I start getting in there too much. So I'm just using my naked finger to pop that and kind of like smooth it down just a little bit. That's very pretty. Okay, I am gonna take a little bit of Peach Fuzz again and just try to deepen up the corners here. I mean, this is giving me like Swamp Fairy vibes, and I'm here for that. I didn't know that like being a swamp fairy was going to like be a pick-me-up for me, but you know, evidently it is. All right, of course I had to take Nokomis, and we're gonna use that as our inner corner because every swamp fairy has to have a beautiful shifty violet inner corner. I think that's in like the Swamp Fairy handbook. Okay, so now if I went through with this electric mint on my lower lash line, that would be using every single shade in this palette. But truly, I feel like this lower lash line needs like some deepening for that Swamp Fairy vibe. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go through with Peach Fuzz, throw on some mascara, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, like I said, I just finished up by throwing on some Peach Fuzz onto my lower lash line. I did go ahead and pop in a little bit of this Lancome eyeliner. Let's see, what is the shade of this one? Is it Ampule? Okay, I think that's it, but it's like this purple. It's really pretty. It was not really wanting to stick in my waterline, but I think that's just because my eyes are like a little watery. I'm gonna try to like put a little bit more in, even though, you know, we're just at the end of the night here, but I'm trying to get the vibe. I'm pretty sure that Lancome, when they made this purple eyeliner, this isn't Lancome aesthetic, but I don't really care. I really like this look. So I'm gonna try to give you a couple up close shots at both of these. I'm so sorry about this one, but you did get to see this one in creation, and you know, this one's pretty easy to create. Okay, so now for the close-ups, and then I can't wait to tell you about next month's palette. Okay, I'm just realizing I don't have anything on my lips. I had a little bit of lip balm on, and I don't have anything anymore. So I'm taking a little bit of this balm.com from Glossier, and just gonna throw this on. My lips are so dry right now. I'm so sorry I didn't notice that I didn't like have some hydration on there. I feel like this has like gotten a little melty, and it's just been sitting in here. That's a little weird. Okay, that is good enough for me. Again, I'm so sorry about this, but I will show you the zoomed in shots of both these eye looks, and then let's talk about what's coming for next month. All right, lovelies, I am definitely feeling on this Pick Me Up palette. You'll have to let me know what you think. Is this a color story that you would work with? I really had a lot of fun with this, and I think that these two looks kind of show the potential of this palette. I mean, you can get kind of like a fun, grungy, slightly smoky look. You can get, you know, a really like bright sunny look. And then I think that there are also just a couple like really easy two shadow options in here, and that's what I love. I am really excited to see what the other creators picked out. I do believe that Kendra Morgan Official and Lock Maiden are doing this video. Mel by Grace might be as well. I'm not quite sure what everybody's doing, but like I said, I will make sure to have everybody who I know is going to be joining in on this one linked down below, so make sure that you give them a check out as well. Of course, Cara from Beautyandthefrizz, because, you know, this was our collab. All right, next month's theme is going to be a flower-inspired palette, which I think is really fun. You could go so many ways with this, and of course, there's gonna be a great pop of color in there, which you know that I love. So I think it's gonna be a really fun one, and it'll be perfect timing because it'll be at the end of April, and we all know that April showers bring May flowers, right? So it'll be a good little way to, like, again, hop into the spring season, really celebrate just like the renewal, the revival of life again. So I'm really excited for that. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It really does mean so much. If you are new to my channel, you hopped over from one of the other creators' channels, I would love if you would consider subscribing if you enjoyed this. Hopefully some of the other content will be entertaining or useful to you as well. So lovelies, I hope you are having a great spring. I am definitely, well, we're not in spring yet, at least not here in my state. But I am really looking forward to it. Today it was 50 out and it was sunny, and I'm like, yes, we made it through the winter, and I can't wait to celebrate with some fun pick-me-up eyeshadow. All right, that's gonna be it, and I will see you really soon.